Just when Cain Dingle looks like he might finally be given a moment to breathe in Emmerdale, life turns around and hits him even harder, and this time it may have left him fighting for everything. Cain has already been carrying far too much on his shoulders lately. He is dealing with cancer, facing surgery, losing stability at home, and trying to cope with the pain of seeing Moira still trapped in her own legal nightmare. It feels like every part of his life has been closing in on him at once, and what makes it worse is that his biggest struggle has not only been physical, but deeply emotional too. He has been battling fear, shame, and the sense that he is losing control of himself, and that inner collapse already showed when he hit such a low point that he drunkenly tried to sleep with Charity. That was not really about love or desire. It felt much more like a man in free fall, trying to grab onto something that might make him feel powerful, wanted, or normal again. So when some positive news finally arrives, it almost feels like a small mercy. Moira tells him that the murder charges against her are likely to be dropped. There is still the serious issue of the modern slavery charges hanging over her, so it is not a full victory. But after everything they have both been through, even that little bit of hope matters. For a moment, it gives the sense that maybe life is not finished punishing them yet. But peace does not last long. Cain then learns that Moira needs an MRI, and immediately his own fears return. Instead of telling her about his upcoming surgery and everything that has been tormenting him, he chooses to keep quiet because he cannot bring himself to place even more weight on her while she is already under so much pressure. That says a lot about where Cain is emotionally. For all his mistakes and all his rough edges, when it comes to Moira, there is still that instinct to protect her, even while he is falling apart himself. He wants to be there while she has the scan, but because she is still a prisoner, he is not allowed. That is when Liam steps in and helps sneak him into the hospital, and that moment carries a strange mix of risk and tenderness because it shows how desperate Cain is not to feel shut out from her any longer. Then comes the moment that really strips Cain down to his most vulnerable self. In the changing room, he finally confides in Moira and admits that what terrifies him most is the possibility that the surgery could leave him impotent. It is a raw confession, and it matters because it reveals what has truly been haunting him beneath the anger and silence. For Cain, this is not only about a medical outcome. It is tied to pride, identity, masculinity, and the fear that he may no longer be able to be the man he believes Moira needs. That is why Moira's response lands so strongly. She reassures him that none of that changes what matters to her, that whatever happens, being together is enough. In that moment, she gives him the one thing he has clearly been desperate for, the certainty that he is still loved without conditions. It is intimate, emotional, and probably one of the few moments lately where Cain is able to let his guard down completely. That is also exactly why what follows feels so brutal. Later, Cain is walking along, still glowing from that closeness with Moira, still on the phone with her, and for once he seems lighter, calmer, almost like he has been given a bit of himself back. Then in a second, it is all ripped away. He is hit by a car. Kyle finds him unconscious and bleeding, while Moira is still on the other end of the call. And that image alone makes the whole scene hit even harder because it comes at the exact moment Cain had just started to believe he could hold on. Psychologically, it is a cruel turn. Cain has been carrying guilt, panic, humiliation, and emotional exhaustion for so long. And just when he finally opens up and reconnects with Moira, he is thrown into another violent crisis. That contrast is what gives the twist its power. It is not only about the shock of the accident. It is about how the story keeps testing Cain right when he is most exposed. As for whether this means Cain is dead, that still feels unlikely. A character like Cain usually is not taken out this suddenly without a much bigger final buildup. So this looks far more like the start of another explosive chapter rather than the end. The bigger question may be who was driving, whether it was truly an accident, and how this will affect Moira, Kyle, and the rest of the family if Cain survives. It also feels possible that this hit and run becomes the trigger for even more buried emotions and unfinished conflicts to come boiling over. One way or another, Cain's fragile moment of hope has just been destroyed, and the fallout could be massive. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with the channel for more Emmerdale updates.